I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the prayer and pledge, and if you'll stand with me, Commissioner Johnson will lead us in a prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord, and we thank you for all your many blessings of life. Lord, we thank you for giving us the ability to come here and lead this city. We ask that all the decisions that we make this evening will be in the best interest of all the citizens. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a first and second. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to remove item 10B from the agenda tonight.
Okay.
If I can. We send those out about adding to the agenda about the Greenland,
Oh, yes.
add that to the, I don't know where.
So
we'll
would
be.
that go under new business?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't write it down, so it's wanting to add the, okay. And is it setting a public hearing and? First reading. Okay. Any other discussion? Could you give us a little explanation on why this is going to be added?
Normally, it would be automatically, and we overlooked it. I did, basically. The engineer had said he would have the paperwork in here by Wednesday or Thursday, which Thursday was Thanksgiving Day. Wednesday, Brandy was off. He did have the paperwork in here Wednesday, so that's the reason I'm asking for it to be added. And they were aware that that normally would be the next reading after the Planning Commission, or the next meeting after the Planning Commission.
Okay, so we'll actually need to do, F will be determine a hearing to be able to add it, because we have a policy saying that we can't do it without the hearing. And then G will be the subdivision. Okay, any other? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is citizens' comments, and I hope I say this right, please correct me. First person is Brian Watts.
That's correct.
Ah, good deal.
Good evening, Mayor Carroll, Vice Mayor Sutton, Commissioners Bissell, Crutcher, and Johnson, Mr. Hall, Mr. Daugherty, Mr. Alexander, and Ms. Johnson. My name is Brian Watts, as the mayor's pointed out, and I'm a volunteer firefighter here in Fairview. Tonight, I would like to announce the formation of the Fairview Fire Auxiliary, which is a new 501c3 to support our fire department. The auxiliary is a Tennessee nonprofit corporation. It is operated exclusively for charitable purposes. It's independent of the city. It's independent of the fire department itself. The auxiliary provides an avenue for businesses and organizations, our elected officials, citizens, to volunteer, to make donations, and to provide support and assist the fire department. The auxiliary does not pay any of its directors or its members. It is entirely a volunteer organization. So when people volunteer and give contributions to the auxiliary, there's very, very little cost that would be there. So most of that money should go right to the fire department, I guess is my point. The auxiliary is set up with two boards. The first board is the actual board of directors for the auxiliary, and they set the vision, the goal setting, the fundraising direction and the management functions of the charity. The second and probably unique aspect of this 501c3 is an advisory board, and the advisory board is comprised of members of the fire department. What we've asked the fire department to do is to staff that advisory board and to give some direction. Really an annual needs assessment is what we're looking for, to let the charity know what is it that the fire department needs that we can help with. In addition to the formation announcement, I would like to make a call to action to everyone in the community and all of our citizens. Please feel free to join the auxiliary as a member. There's no pre-qualifications. You don't have to be a fireman. If you're 18 years old and you're willing to sign a membership application, we'll welcome you with open arms. The second request and call to action is that it's a brand new entity and organization. We've seen a lot of interest for people to join the board of directors, but we are, of course, asking for any interested people in the community that have executive, volunteer experience, or just a desire to come and help. Please feel free to call Chief O'Neill or myself at the fire department. We'd be happy to talk to you about either serving on our board or making some sort of volunteer effort with us. We would definitely appreciate it. I'd just like to express my gratitude and thanks to Chief O'Neill and to Training Officer Scott Hughes and to firefighter Adam Wynn. I'm new to town with my wife and new to our fire department, so they were very helpful setting aside personal time for me outside of their normally assigned duties to help me understand what was going on at the fire department and to help me in the formation of the auxiliary. So thank you very much for them, and thank you to everyone tonight for giving me a moment to speak. I appreciate it. I hope that everyone is as excited about this as I am, and as excited as the fire department is, that we have a auxiliary that is a charitable entity. I don't know much about the details of what existed prior, other than to say that, yes, a lot of good work has been done, of course, in what was called the auxiliary previously, and that was a fraternal organization. So we're just kind of coming into the 501c3 world here and getting started and running. And I know that there's a lot of good work, and the people that have been working, doing that work with the fire department before will also be working in the new auxiliary. So thank you, everyone. Exciting news, and that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming. Yeah, it's great news. Okay, the second citizen is Miss Donna Brooks.
I wanted to speak tonight about the HR position, and since you've taken it off the agenda, I'm going to go ahead and ask my questions anyway in case it's going to come up again. While I agree the city needs help with their HR functions as laid out in the proposal for an HR specialist, there are several questions and observations that should be answered before making a decision. One of the deficiencies the auditors identified was placing the balance of the state street aid money from last fiscal year, into a separate account as we agreed to do in the approved stabilization plan. That amount is $190,046, I think. Have we moved that amount yet? Are we putting new street aid revenue for this fiscal year into a separate account? And that amount at the end of September was $58,088. Are we putting new school facilities tax revenue into a separate account? That amount at the end of September was $41,296. And we also committed in our stabilization plan to pay 25% of the money we borrowed from the school facilities fund by June 30th of 2016. So if our negative amount was $488,000 and $488,581, that amount will be $122,145. If we're not moving current year receipts into separate accounts, we are continuing our old practice of borrowing from restricted or designated funds to run the operations of the city. What is the increase in our year-over-year revenue and expense in the unassigned category, not counting property tax? That will tell us if we have a sufficient increase to fund this contract. And in my opinion, we definitely cannot hire another employee. It would have to be a consultant if we find the money. There are a few things to keep in mind. We started with a projected surplus of $256,957, less the $45,000 for the special census, less the 25% for the school facilities fund of $122,145, leaving us with a projected surplus of $89,812. This surplus will not exist next year because we have to start paying bond payments, and there is another 25% of the school facilities fund that we have to pay at the end of 6/30/2017. So it's already going to put us in the hole for the budget for next year. We did not give the employees a raise this year. Insurance will definitely go up next year. We did not budget enough for maintenance this year, and we'll be most fortunate if the utilities and gas remains low. Thank you, and because there is so many numbers in this, I have made copies for you all if you would like to have them.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Awards and recognition. Mr. Hall?
Mayor, I have none tonight, thank you.
Okay, any commissioners? Okay. Public announcements, and I think we have quite a few tonight, so let me try that. And if I skip something, I ask my fellow board members to help me out. But Saturday, we have a volunteer day in the park, and we believe it's 9 to 12, is that correct? Okay. Then Saturday afternoon, we have the tree lighting at 4:30, and we invite everybody out to come join us. Are we having the middle school choir again?
Yes.
Middle
Yes.
school and high school. So normally a good time, come and get some hot chocolate, support the community schools, and then just join together for this fun occasion and of the lighting of the tree. So the other, let's see, the 8th is Tuesday night, and there's a chamber dinner at 7 o'clock. Then also we have the Christmas parade put on by the chamber, and it begins at 11 o'clock. And I don't know if they're still taking applications to participate, but I would suggest calling, if you haven't already signed up to be in the parade, call the chamber office. And then that afternoon, on the 12th, we have the fireside concert from 2 to 4. So lots of activities going on. I'd like to encourage everybody to come out and participate. Anything I'm missing in the community?
Keith.
Yes? The library. The library. That was the one reason I started this. Thank you. I told them, I said, if I skip this, and I have this nice little flyer right here to tell me all about it. But we are having it's December 6th, we are having the tour, Christmas tour of homes, and it's from 1 to 5. And this is put on by the library. It's $10 a ticket, and children under 12 are free, but it's really a great time to go to your community and neighbors and go in their house and see how they decorate, and it's a good fundraiser for the library. So we just encourage everybody to come out and support it. You can get tickets at the Fairview Public Library, and I believe you can even buy them on that day if you go by there. But if you have questions, feel free to call them, and it's sponsored by the Friends of Fairview Library. Okay, now anything else? Okay, and then if that's the case, we will move on. Next item is staff comments, and we'll let Mr. Hall, as Codes Director, speak.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board of Commissioners. I'm going to report tonight on a grant that's been in the process since 2006. Is the Roadscapes project. We got notice yesterday that the funding has been made available, and it's already been sent out for bid. The Loesch Associates, Andrew Krager is handling that portion of it. So hopefully that's going to get done pretty soon. We got 21 days that it has to be out for bid, so we'll see how it goes after that.
And just as a reminder of everybody, do you want to give a little highlight on what the roadscape project details? And
Yes, ma'am. It's trees and shrubbery and flowers at a certain time of the year. This is a beautification project that Dan Kubik had pioneered, I guess you might say, for a number of years.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to honor him. We'll probably be setting a date on that pretty soon, and we'll let everyone know when that, and we have a sign that we're going to have there at the project. I do have permission from TDOT. As long as we're 25 feet out of the right-of-way, we're in good shape. So, or 25 feet from the edge of the road, we're out of their right-of-way. So I've actually made the tour around town trying to get those things clarified with TDOT before we, I don't want to get in the situation we were a year or so ago with having to remove signs in a short notice. You
Right.
know, it's remove them today or else. So
yeah,
we've got that clarified with TDOT.
great. Talking about signs, where do we stand as far as the directional signs that we're still waiting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know how many of you remember, but this really is exciting news. It's a grant, a beautification grant for the city of Fairview that Dan Kubik did work so hard in his committee several years ago, involved in the chamber. And I can't even say how many years. Is it 7, 10?
2006, so that's about 10 years,
Yeah.
almost close to it, 9.
It's been quite some time, and we thought we're going to have to give back the grant, but or weren't going to be able to go through with it. But once Mr. Hall came on and started researching the grants and doing the homework, he was he found out that we were still eligible for this grant, and we are getting to save it, and I'm thrilled about it. So it's great news because I think it's really it's a beautiful landscape plan, and just inviting everybody in and letting them see what our community is really about. So I'm excited for all the people that worked on it and just for the beautification of our community. So with that being said, thrilled. Any other things going on at Codes?
No, there've just been several projects that's contacted me, and but I'm not at liberty to disclose any of them yet because they're not really a sure thing yet. When they're a sure thing, then I will disclose each one, so.
Okay, great.
Can I ask
Yes.
one quick? Just for public information, we've had several people ask about the wreaths going up on the light poles up and down the city. Can you give us a little bit of input on why it's not?
Why it's not is the engineer for Middle Tennessee Electric would not sign off on it. He's left that up to Porter Massey. Mitch Dowdy has tried diligently to get in touch with Porter Massey, and I kind of don't want to get in the situation I was in with TDOT and put them up and then be told to take them down. They are their poles, they're not ours, they are in their right-of-way, they're not in our right-of-way. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm in limbo, you know. But if I get word I'm checking every 2 or 3 days with Mitch to see if he's heard from Porter Massey, but as of right now, we haven't. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But the minute that I will get them up on the light poles as soon as I get word. If we don't get the electricity to them, I'll at least get them up to be where they can be seen in the daytime. But Mitch can put the electricity to them, but he's got to have permission.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any way we could go ahead and get them up and not know about the electricity? I mean, I know you said that they'll say,
If they
okay.
give us permission to put them up on their poles, then we will get them up. We have the brackets ready to go. They're ready to be put up.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Public
Thank you.
Works has already been on top of that. We just need verification that we have permission to do.
Okay,
That's not including our poles up the drive and?
No, no. It's just the light poles out
Just
on
on
the
the,
road.
on Highway
Mhm, That's
100?
where we can get, that, I think that's the reason that there's a hesitancy is because of the electricity, being, not knowing the right voltage and everything, and afraid that somebody would get hurt putting them in. But Mitch says he can handle it if he gets permission.
Are we gonna put them on our poles regardless?
Yes. We just hadn't had time to do that.
No, I understand.
The wet weather is, you know, the goal was to get them on the, get the Christmas tree. Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is who I need, I guess I'll say it to you, Mr. Hall, but but I'm sure Brandy and some of the other staff, but everything does look beautiful inside, and appreciate that.
Brandy and Brian had brought it together, and the Public Works boys has filled in and helped out with a lot of, it's been a lot of work for them. And
Great.
as y'all know, we had, couldn't get the bucket truck over there because we're afraid we'd mess up the front yard. And the ladder truck we used from the fire hall in order to get to the top of it. The tree's grown to the point where ladders doesn't quite, and if you use an extension ladder, it doesn't work too good on
Yeah.
a flimsy tree like that. So.
Definitely. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see, and I don't know if I took any of your spotlight, but Brandy, do you, I guess, census or anything to report?
Yes, ma'am. I will real quick just add on to the tree lighting. It does begin at 4:30. We plan to light the tree around 5. Middle school and high school, of course, will be performing like they did last year. And we think we have Santa confirmed to be present as well. And I just want to thank Publix for their donation of the hot chocolate.
Great.
Manager Stacy Greathouse for doing that for us. The census, we have sent out the second letters with a deadline of December 18th, trying to get those in before the holidays. They'll evaluate everything once they receive that second letter back, and then they'll determine if a third letter is needed or where we stand after the holidays. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Darty.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have two things to report on. The library, the City of Fairview's portion of the library addition has been paid to Williamson County. Also, to piggyback off of Ms. Johnson, the special census, we have secured a certification agency. Upper Cumberland Development District has agreed to do our verification for $8,500. So that keeps us under budget for the project, and I was, without going into great detail, I was ecstatic to have someone to verify. Hopefully, we're supposed to meet with him next Thursday and any contract details, work with him and all that. We're just getting started, so, but that was good news.
Good. Anybody have any questions? Let's see. Keith, I guess.
I'm just going to give a little bit more on the Community Parks Day. Community Parks Day, this is the second annual Community Parks Day, will be held December 5th this year. It will be taking place in Bowie Nature Park and include helping to eradicate non-native exotic plant species at Bowie Nature Park, and there will also include a small beautification project. Volunteers could report to Shelter 1 starting at 9 to 9:30 be registration. The work will start or commence at 9:30 until 12. The Friends will be serving a hot dog lunch for the volunteers. And also just to go on the holiday fireside concert, that will be Yankee Dixie will be the headliner there.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if that is it. You don't, do you? Okay. Come on up, Chief.
We just want to pass on that there's going to be burning going on over by Western Woods. So if anybody has any inquiries, they're probably going on for the next few days, but there is somebody there maintaining it. So if anybody has any questions or inquiries about it, feel free to give us a call. That's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead. Approval or of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a first and second. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Mayor, I just had a couple of, I think they're just typos on the minutes, but I just wanted to make sure that we had it right. It's on page 3 of the minutes, Brandy. Item 10E and 10F. Same person on those made the motion and seconded the motion. I don't know who the second was. You see what I'm saying? But otherwise, those were the only corrections.
Okay. Well, with that being said, no other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Old business, item A, discuss and take action on approval of the 2015 audit, and that will be Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as I know, this is just a formality. The board, I guess, accepts it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they came and presented it last meeting, and as far as I know, it's going to the state. So my recommendation is for you guys to approve it.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, got a first and second. Any discussions or questions about the audit?
I was curious why we had to approve the audit myself. The audit's the audit. You've looked at it and reviewed it, so if you say approve it, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have deferred it to last meeting.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Old business B, discuss and take action of annual vacation accrual. And that goes back to you, Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Mayor. I sent out a written, I was requested to write up exactly what I wanted, and of course I am flexible, but I guess is there any questions on the written explanation? Or
I didn't have it. Do you have any questions? I mean, I will say I love putting what was there versus it just makes it so much easier to be able to have it right there in front of us.
I didn't, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mayor, thank you. I didn't have any questions necessarily. I was just looking at it, and, you know, the way it was, it didn't really make sense to me why a new hire couldn't roll any time over the first year. That was confusing. I mean, what you accumulated from the time you were hired to the end of the calendar year, it looked like to me, whether it was 10 hours or whatever, you could still roll it over. The only thing I had, and I think Mayor Carroll might have mentioned this last time, is if we made it where you could roll over 80 hours through the first 10 years of service, then I guess what effect does that have on the folks that have been here 10 years or more now that a new hire can effectively roll over the same as somebody who's put in 10 years of service? That's the only issue I have with it. So I guess the only thing I'd like to hear a little more about, not necessarily an issue with it.
I guess that might could be another topic, maybe when we redo the employee manual. Right now, my major concern was that first year employee, as well as getting it to we were going to change it, but I wanted it to be equitable for the first year employee, and if the board so chooses to lessen it to 40, or to another number that y'all see fit. I think the 0 is really hard for somebody that's trying to work through their probationary period to be forced to take off, especially if they're hired in that last quarter.
Yes.
Mayor, I would move that we continue with the current policy, but just simply remove in that first line, first through fourth, just remove after first year. Just make it where you can roll over 40 hours, but remove the after first year so you can roll it over immediately, whatever you accumulate.
Do you want to keep the 5 through 10 as well at 40?
Yeah, keep everything exactly the same as it is, but just simply remove that language after first year. You see what I'm talking about?
So no longer would it say after first year, it would be immediately.
Immediately.
So, yeah. I think that's fair. It gives people incentive to, as they stay, you're rewarding those employees that are invested. And we really want people to take their vacations. You know, they work hard and we want them to use them. So,
Mayor?
yes.
I'm just not getting it. I understand why we want to have a cap as to how much you can roll over. I understand why we let them accrue leave based upon their years of service. But I don't understand why somebody that is here in their first year, if they chose not to take leave, why couldn't they just do the 80 hours too? I mean, they may have a reason. They may have some surgery planned, or a spouse that's got surgery and they're going to need to be off. There may be a legitimate reason. So I like the idea of just going to, it didn't make any difference how many years you had service, you could save up to X amount of hours. You could roll over X amount of hours. But I don't have any, the way we accrue it is fine by me. I just think there might be some legitimate reasons to carry over more than 40.
Only thing I could see is if somebody we have to pay that vacation leave out. So if somebody only puts in a year or 2 years, then we're stuck. I mean, it's their hours, but that's the only reason. It would be more in my thought process for those people that invested the time, to roll it over.
But the impact to us is the same, because for them to roll it over, they didn't take it.
Right.
So
But you're
the
moving
city
that to next year.
So the city didn't pay it out earlier.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
When was this current policy adopted? Do we know?
2006.
2006. I don't know, does anybody know the thinking behind this when it was adopted this way? I mean, or just arbitrarily pick out? I mean, it seems to me there was some reason why it would be different for people who had worked 10 years or longer than less than 10 years.
I saw some older manuals where they allowed to accrue up to 120 hours at one point for certain individuals. It was a different breakdown, but you know, for my purposes here, I mean, I think 40 we can work with. Like I said, I was willing to have 80, but I think we can work with 40. I think we can get our things done with that.
Well, and I'm like Commissioner Massell, I'm fine with how it's accrued, and I don't think that's what's even before us anyway. I think it's just a matter of how many you can roll over, but how many hours you can roll over. Well, that was my suggestion, because it didn't make any sense to me why that after first year was there. I mean, why somebody who starts in the middle of a calendar year as it is now, or in the middle of a fiscal year, couldn't still roll over however much they had accumulated during that, that year.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Looking at this compared to what we have at the county, because the longevity means something as to how many more you can roll over each year because you're accumulating more and more and more up to 16 hours a month. So in our case, they only get the same, everybody gets the same thing each month, am I correct? Longevity has nothing to do with it.
No, it does. Longevity has to do with how much you accumulate in terms of your vacation hours, doesn't it?
On a monthly basis,
Yeah,
yes.
on a monthly basis, yeah.
Same at the county, isn't it?
It's the same as the county, but there's a scale as to when you first start, how much you can roll over. And as that increases by longevity, how long you've been there, that amount continues to grow. I think ours is like 356 hours, something like that, once you've got the max of 16 hours a month, because you build it up so fast. So ours is based on not 40 for everybody or whatever it is. It changes, it goes up. So your first year or 2 years, it would be very low as to what you could roll over. And you could roll over more because you're gonna be getting more later on.
And that's what my proposal is, exactly, that we keep it just like it is, just take that after the first year so that longevity is still a factor that's
Should be.
part of the policy. And that was my motion, that we approve this without that language, or just take out that language after first year so that a new hire can still roll hours over.
And just, what happens is that when it gets, you've got too much, is it rolls over into your retirement. So,
Well, the federal system is, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Federal system is different in that it's 240 hours whether you've got 1 month on the job or whether you've got 100 years on the job. And the experience is that by going ahead and letting people that are just, even though it's, you accrue it on a, based upon seniority, the idea is that when people are in their first 3 years of employment, you'd like to have them there the maximum amount of time because they're still learning their jobs, they're in training programs, it makes the logistics a lot easier. So by giving people the same incentive to save their leave, then you find it's easier to train your employees and to, it doesn't cause the logistical issues. That's the thought process behind it.
Well, and really, I think the key is the cap, and it doesn't really matter. I tend to agree with Commissioner Bissell. I mean, it really, if it's for planning, it doesn't matter. They're not going to get as much, and they're not going to get the same amount of hours. So, I mean, I think it probably, either way, would be okay, as long as it gets you on your scale that you need to go and you can budget. Because I think when it all comes down to it is the reason to even change anything is to make sure that we're properly planning. So, does anybody want to make a motion, put a motion on the table?
I did.
he did.
Did you get a second? Okay. Then, so the wording of that would be after,
It would just simply, the motion was that we continue with the current policy, but remove in years 1 through 4, the after first year language.
okay. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Let me go back. New business, item A, discuss and take action on separating city funds. And I just requested for this to be on the agenda, A, because it was a discussion during the audit, and then also wanted the opportunity for us to be able to discuss what the action plan is to separate the funds. So, Mr. Darty, if you can kind of tell me where we stand.
Thank you, Mayor. I pulled out our stabilization plan and our fund balance policy in preparing, and we were supposed to have 100% State Street aid segregated at fiscal year 2015. That did not happen. That will happen this year, and we're supposed to have 25% of the school's facilities tax fully funded. I would love to be more closer to 50%. Of course, you you can say all you want to about, yeah, we're gonna do this, but if you don't have any cash to put somewhere, you can't put any, you can't fund it. So, we should have enough cash to start funding, and I'm hoping to have everything funded in February. After property taxes are in and we can move money around. As far as, everything else is segregated. I mean, that's our two items that we really need to focus on.
Okay, so the 25% will be what we're going to give back to the school facility tax. Then also, in addition, you can fund whatever we receive this year for school facility tax will be in there.
Right, when we did this, when this stabilization plan was created, this was prior to our budget proceedings, and I had no idea what our revenues were gonna be, what our property tax rate was gonna be. So this is conservative, so I think I think this 3-year plan can be done in 2, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and that's my goal. But I go back to the same thing with, until the funds come in, we can't put them anywhere.
Right. So what is the guideline to, I know you anticipate the majority of the taxes to be in by February. What's the guideline to pay the note back where we did the taxes?
That will be paid during that time as well, but we have to have it paid back by June 30th, 2016.
Okay, so street aid, if you'll give me a breakdown, currently we have used, and this may be Mr. Hall's question, but the street aid that has come in this year, have we spent any of the new dollars for this budget year?
No, ma'am. And we will be spending some street aid money here pretty soon with the paving that has already been bid, and actually they plan on starting tomorrow as far as doing the edges of it, and then hopefully get the paving done. I think we're finally going to have some decent weather next week, so that's when the plan is going to be.
Okay, yes.
What's the cutoff date for the asphalt plant?
He hasn't given me a cutoff date, as long as the weather holds. I think December 15th is the actual cutoff date, but if the weather
15th
holds,
is,
I think as long as the weather holds at a certain temperature, if they got any overage of jobs they need to complete before the plant's closed, then I think they
Is it
can.
above 40 for 3 days or something like that?
Yes, sir. It cannot be going down, it's got to be.
Okay, so our goal is by February, school facility and street aid will be separated. Last year, what we started this year, and the new additional money will go in.
Yes, ma'am. We do have an account already established with LGIP. It's designated for school facilities. Right now, I had put enough in there to pay the library. Right now, the remainder of that is in our operating account. The goal is to get it out of the operating account into that LGIP, and then when y'all get ready to appropriate it, then we'll pull it from the LGIP back in the operating to write the check. Same thing for the state street aid. The state street aid, I'll have to create an account with LGIP, put it in there, and then whatever we appropriate, and you say you're going to spend, we'll put it in the operating account and leave the rest in its own separate account.
Okay, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that I understand. So we are trying, the goal is to get 2 separate accounts for state street aid and the school's facilities tax. Is that right?
We already have the accounts established for the school facilities tax.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
That through
But-
LGIP, is that what you were just talking about?
The goal is to not have all the funds in one soup account that's in our operating account.
So to have two separate accounts, and then as money comes in, we get money in from both of those, state street aid and school facilities tax on a monthly basis.
Correct.
Is that right? And as the money comes in on a monthly basis, to put it in its respective account.
Correct.
Okay, why can't we do that now? Why can't we, as the money comes in on a monthly basis for schools, facilities tax, and state street aid, start putting it into those accounts?
We can. And we will. The property taxes have started coming in, and I say from December on, we will fund that like that, as well as make up any deficits.
But that's what I'm trying to understand. I thought that was the plan from the very beginning of this fiscal year, that we would have those accounts, we would start putting that money as it came in into the respective accounts. What I'm trying to understand is we did a TAN to try to help us through the lean times. So why, I mean, it seems to me that money should be available to go into those accounts now, and us not, and I'm not saying that we are relying on it or using it, but it shouldn't even be commingled with the other money unless we have to use it. And I'm just trying to find out, is that where we are, or do we need that money, or can we go ahead and segregate it out?
It was my decision. I was going to segregate it all at one time. And that was, I can go ahead and do the segregate the first part of the year right now.
And I'll tell you why I think that's important. It goes back to when the band was in here asking for some money, and there was some confusion about whether the money did or didn't exist based on the fact that we had taken in some money already during this fiscal year from the school's facilities tax, and our response to them was, well, the money's not there. Whereas if we would have taken that money on a monthly basis as it came in, put it into this separate account, then there would have been no question about what was or wasn't available in the school's facilities tax, and we may have been in a better position to have given them some money. So, again, you're the CFO, but what I envisioned was is that we would go ahead and have these accounts set up, and that as that money came in on a monthly basis, we would start funding those accounts. Now, obviously, we wouldn't be able to fund them to the level that we've anticipated right now, but when we can, we go ahead and fully fund it to the 25% that we're supposed to have in there by June 30th, and then and that's how we would do it. That was what I thought we planned on doing.
Well, I agree. I think it makes more sense as the money's coming in. I know it may be one more step for you, but as it's coming in, it's always, we know we have that negative balance that needs to be paid back, and that, will definitely, and I can understand not in the beginning of the year wanting to do it, but we definitely need to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for a repeat, and we know exactly where the money is and how much that account is. So I think that if we kind of came up with a plan, from starting, December, go ahead and start whatever comes in for the, the tax money, go ahead and put it in those designated accounts. And then February, if that's your goal, when you believe all the taxes, then we'll work on the 25% back or getting everything moved over. I think that sounds, like a good plan. Any other discussion? Would you like to make that a motion, or is this just discussion? I mean, I think just telling you kind of what we would want is fine as far as doing it without making a motion. Any other thoughts? Do you think that's doable?
Yes, I will make it a goal whenever I present the quarterly numbers that everything will be in its proper, in its account up to that date.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, thank you. Okay, feel like there was one more thing I wanted to ask you. While we're talking about the funds, how about as far as the engineer fees and attorney fees? Are we in budget for that? If not, will you research that for,
Yeah, I looked at the numbers today, and the attorney fees, we're definitely in budget on. The engineer fees is set up as a net account that it fluctuates a little bit because we get reimbursed on some of their services. So you pay it out, and then the contractor reimburses some of that expenditure. So the real number is later. So it fluctuates a little bit, but we're in pretty good shape on that too. And what I'd like to do on a monthly basis, as soon as I get the GAN and as soon as I get the grant and the loan accounting straightened out in our books, is just every month give y'all a month up to date out of the system, and then do the bigger picture quarterly with the spreadsheets. And then so y'all have something every month. And what I can print out of our system is the percentages, and then I can also give you a detailed breakdown of each expenditure by department if you'd like that. It's about a 25-page document, but it gives you all the details. Whatever anybody wants, and you don't have to wait till a meeting to ask for it. You can call me and I'll give you whatever information you want.
right? Yes,
I would prefer that we go back to the monthly report like you gave us the end of last year and the first part of this calendar year. And I know we had discussed quarterly in the Finance Review Committee meeting, and that's fine, doing a quarterly report for them if that board continues. But I would like to see that report again, that monthly report. I mean, it was really helpful to me, and I felt like that I was staying on top of where things were versus getting, and really just the printout. I know I mentioned this one time before, the printout is a bunch of numbers, and it's really hard for someone that's not an accountant or a bookkeeper like myself to go through there and really make much meaning of it, or at least that's what I found. So that's what I would prefer.
Would y'all like to, I guess, do y'all mind, I mean, just give me a time limit, how much of your Board of Commissioners meeting you want to take up with the finance report? And, I don't mind doing it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I think you used to pick, I think, didn't we do like one meeting a month, either the last, maybe it's the last meeting of the month?
I'm sorry. I don't think it took that long either.
No, like, I think 5 minutes is what it took you to do that in the past, that you did a nice, what's it called? Yeah, thank you, PowerPoint. It's helpful.
okay. So with that being said, if you'll move forward, maybe getting that back, and we'll move on. We've removed B. Item C, discuss and take action on Bill 2015-46.
Ordinance number 911, an ordinance for the amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2015, 2016 budget, GAN accounting. Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you. This is just getting our books in order. I had these set up. You can call it a bunch of different accounts. I always call it a net account or a pass-through account or a pass account. But the fact is, the state wants it revenue expenditure. It does not affect our budget one way or the other. It's just, at the end of the day, it cancels each other out. That's just the way they want to report it.
Okay. Got a
Move
motion?
to approve. Better read it. Oh, I thought you already read it.
Second.
Okay, first and second, and we did read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ordinance number 911, ordinance to amend the city budget. Okay.
You did. I remember now. Okay. Just double checking there. Okay, any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business D, discuss and take action on Bill 2015-47.
Ordinance number 912, an ordinance to amend for an amended to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2015-2016 budget grant accounting. Mr. Doctor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Same thing as the previous, just getting our book straight.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, discuss and take action on Bill 2015-48.
Ordinance number 913, an ordinance for an amended to the City of Fairview, Tennessee's budget for fiscal year 2015-2016 budget Walmart grant for leads online. Mr. Doctor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is, last meeting, the board approved the $2,000 check from Walmart, and this budget amendment is to appropriate that money to be spent on the Leads Online contract. If we left it like it was, that line item would be zero, so this just allows us to use that money to be spent.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, any discussion?
Just want to
Go
make
ahead.
sure that I'm reading the amendment right and there's not a number messed up. It says current budget, I'm looking at the second line, expenditures account, police contractual services, current budget, $15,270. We're adding $2,000 to that?
Correct.
Should it be 17, is that right? Okay.
Correct. Did y'all receive this sheet with you didn't? Okay, I'm gonna try to give a detailed, I thought this came to y'all, but a detail on what I'm doing. Well, it should have been in the regular budget amendment, not in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was done.
Yes, it just increases that. They have several other contracts, one of them being the 911, the 911, and a couple other contracts already in that line item.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this will be item F, and we have to determine if there's, how do you say it?
Extenuating circumstances.
Yeah. To add the item on the agenda. So I'll give that over to the city attorney.
Mayor, I'm sorry, what is the question?
Go back to Wayne on that.
It's a hearing that we have to have in order to add something to the agenda, and it has to be an extenuating circumstance or emergency.
Well,
Exigent circumstance.
Exigent. I think the board could determine that, and it appears that the city manager has given, indications that there were exigent circumstances, so it's a matter for the board.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, if I may, with the explanation prior from the city manager, I'd move to approve the next item coming up because of extenuating circumstances.
I'll second it, but I'd like to make a comment if I could, Mayor.
Yes, please.
This issue, when I first heard about it, I thought, this isn't probably something that we needed to be doing. But in looking at it, and it's only the first reading, and we're just going to set the public hearing for basically a month out, I think it's okay to do it because the public's going to have a month's worth of knowledge to know when the next meeting's going to be and the public hearing. So I think we're okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I agree with Commissioner Johnson on that. When I first saw it come across, I was kind of like him. I thought, well, we probably shouldn't do that because we've got this policy in place, and we've always conducted these hearings about whether or not there's exigent or emergency circumstances, and it seems that we've always voted that there is. But with that said, we've also continued to travel down this path where we're consistently adding stuff to the agenda after the agenda's gone out, and I don't know whose fault it was, don't really care whose fault it was, why it didn't get on the agenda, and I understand it was in the middle of the holiday, but this will be the last time, if there's not true exigent or emergency situation, then I'm gonna vote for it to be on the, to be added to the agenda. I mean, I gotta draw a line in the sand somewhere. It was my policy proposal, we approved the policy, and we've continued to not always follow, well, in my opinion, not always follow the policy, so that's my take on it. But I agree with Commissioner Johnson.
Okay. If that's all the discussion, all in favor for adding?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. It carries, so we will add the item on, and then it will bring us to G, and it will be, do you want to, the green, we're going to set the approve for first reading and set a public hearing. We'll have to do that as, we don't have to do the public hearing vote, so just first, first reading.
First reading,
Yeah.
and if y'all have any questions, Jamie Reed is here representing the Green Estates, if y'all have any questions for him.
Okay. And do you have the reading of the ordinance? Okay, I don't know that I do. Yeah, can you bring it up, or, yeah? Because with it adding, I don't think I ever printed off that second, so just to make
I
sure.
don't print mine off. Is an ordinance to change the zoning of certain property in the city of Fairview, Tennessee, located on Cumberland Drive, owned by Kenneth B. Green, as shown on Williamson County map, county tax map 47, parcel 66.04, from RS 40 to R 20 PUD.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion? Nope.
For those
Yes.
of you, I'm sorry. just
Go ahead.
For those of you who got this, we had a correction on the Trotty and Toddy. It's been taken care of, okay, good enough. The second one is,
Yeah, we need to vote. I just didn't know.
move
if
to
there-
approve.
We got that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead.
Resolution number 37-15, a resolution to set a public hearing for the purpose of obtaining public comment on the change of the zoning of certain property in the city of Fairview, Tennessee, located off Cumberland Drive, owned by Kenneth B. Green, as shown on Williamson County Tax Map 47, parcel 66.04, from RS 40 to R 20 PUD. Move to approve.
Second.
Got a first and second, and they have representation here, so, which I probably should have stated that on the last one. Any discussion on this
We have a date.
date? Okay,
7.
7th is January
so
7th.
January 7th. So for any citizens wishing to come speak, this will be your opportunity.
It's his engineer.
Oh, we need-
Okay, so we don't need to vote on setting the hearing? Yeah, okay.
We've got a first and second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, if you'd like, I would like to go over the process from here on for the
Okay.
public's benefit. There will be notice in the newspaper, notice by mail, 15 days prior to the public hearing. Then there's a notice of signage. And then when the signs are put out, they will be put out 15 days prior to the public hearing and 500 feet in sequence. If there's more than 500, it'll be 2 put out, so just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, yes.
Mayor, may I spoke to Larry about this, Mr. Cantrell. Neither he nor I had a deed to this property at the time the ordinance was drawn and at the time the notice was drawn. I have asked for that deed, and I assume it'll be provided to us tonight. So there may be, I'm not sure, I haven't seen the deed yet, there may be some change to the property description. It will just be a legal description change when it comes back up for second reading.
Okay, yes.
Call them up, ask them if they got it.
Okay, yeah, come on. If y'all, the representatives want to come up, well, are y'all going to be able to provide?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize. I don't know if I emailed it to the wrong person but I dropped one off, a copy of it. That's the current description of the property there. Is that what you need?
May I?
Yes, please.
What I need is the last deed to the property.
Oh, you just need a copy of the old
Put
deed.
it in the name of Mr. Green.
Oh, I got you.
Assume
Okay.
that's the last
I got you.
deed.
Yes, sir. Yes,
This is
sir.
a property description, obviously, and I assume it was recorded, but we need the last.
Okay,
deed.
I got you.
And
No
it's my
problem.
understanding that Mr. Cantrell asked for that earlier, but I didn't have it when I did the ordinance, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I apologize for the confusion. I thought he wanted a current deed, a current description of the property at the time when we talked last. So I can get
Okay.
that for you, no problem.
great, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Wayne, when you said a minute ago that 15 days prior mail was going out, could you clarify who that mail is going to? Because it kind of sounded like all citizens could be expecting to get mail, and that's correct.
And that will be certified mail. So we'll have a receipt.
I didn't want everybody to think they were getting mail.
Yeah. And it'll be in the paper as soon as, what, next week maybe? No, not, okay. But it'll be soon in the Observer, okay. Okay, if that's it, we've already had a vote. So that leaves us to City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Commissioners. We're putting the flag at half-staff tomorrow in remembrance of the tragedy in Bernardino, California. Also, it will stay up through Tuesday morning. Monday is December the 7th, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So I just wanted to inform you all that we will be having the flag at half-staff. The next thing I'd like to announce is the Walmart weekend. Our Walmart is #1 in their district
Great.
for that day. And when I say district, I had to clarify that today with Manager Mark Lowry. That's 600 stores.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
And this store had the best percentage of increase of all of those stores.
good
He
deal.
didn't give me the figure, but I didn't want to press him for that because I was tickled to death to hear that. I just wanted to bring that, and I did get his permission to announce that tonight. That's my report, and, I think that's some awful good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear that, definitely. Okay, I guess, can you give us a report on Larry's condition? I think I heard he's up and barking orders. No, I'm joking.
He's as ornery as he ever was. The last time I spoke with Larry, he said to me, he said, I may not make it back until after Christmas, but it should be a walk in the park because things slow down in the city around Christmas time. So can you help me through January? And of course I will if the city manager wants me to. But
Great,
he's ornery.
great, glad to hear he's feeling better. So appreciate having you again tonight. Okay, let's start with Commissioner Bissell.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Gretcher?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to touch on something that we briefly talked about at the end of the last meeting, and it had to do, Mr. Hall had come to the board with some positions that had been opened up in the police department and asked the board for essentially permission based on us having a quote hiring freeze in place to fill those positions. And one of the things that was asked or posed at that time was a question about the legality of whether or not this board could put any type of restriction on Mr. Hall's ability to fill positions. And I guess this is really a question for the city attorney, and I'm throwing this at you blindly, so if you don't know the answer tonight, that's fine, and you can get back to us the next meeting. But I was looking at our charter, and it says that, and this is dealing specifically with the city manager's powers and duties, it's TCA 6-21-108, subsection 2, and it says, except as otherwise provided in this chapter, appoint, promote, demote, suspend, transfer, remove, and otherwise discipline all department heads and subordinate employees at any time, subject only to any personnel rules and regulations adopted by ordinance or resolution by the commission. So I wanted to just get some clarity over what authority this board had to put a type of policy like that in place to say, hey, we're not going to hire right now because of our financial situation or whatever.
Yes, please.
The board holds the purse strings, and you can set a limit on the number of employees that can be hired or positions that exist or can be filled. I think that's your control over the hiring and the firing and so forth. But as far as the actual discipline and hiring and firing, that's a function of the city manager. And really, the board shouldn't be involved in that. If you say there's going to be 10 employees and we're going to fund 10 employees' positions and we're going to set these as the benefits and the salaries, that's your function. And the city manager then goes about doing what you hired him to do, managing those employees within the positions and salaries and benefits that you create. I can do some research on it, but that's off the top of my head.
No, I appreciate that, and it was just a question about the legality of us having a so-called hiring freeze, and I'm not so sure that it was ever actually put in the form of a resolution, which it sounds like that's what this charter subsection's talking about, ordinance or resolution, but nonetheless, the question about the legality of it was brought up, and I was just curious because
I'll defend your right to do that if you choose to do it. And I'm sure Mr. Cantrell would too. That's your bailiwick. That's what this board is for.
Thank you. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, and Vice Mayor Sutton?
Just one or two little things. To remember everything that we came up with tonight. I think it's all on the line. Do your census report, send it in. I believe we've got it now where I talked to City Manager Hall, where actually if you want to drop it, physically drop it by, you can put it in the payment boxes out here, and they'll be gotten out and counted. You can do it online. I've even suggested that we contact the chamber so that some of the businesses can actually help us out as far as having some available and asking people, because a lot of people just got them in mail and tossed them. So we just need to keep people aware of what's going on in different businesses. The other thing is, if you go by Taco Bell tonight or whenever and order something, they're going to ask you if you want to give $1 to the Boys and Girls Club of Fairview. They're accepting donations for that. So if you do, take it, give them the $1 if you got it. It helps fund a scholarship fund for kids who can't afford to go and pay for what they do or pay for field trips that they go to. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Can I be excused?
Yes.
Thank you. Not going because you're talking, but
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. It was about you, so you may not want to leave. No, I'm joking. No, I don't have much to say tonight. Just, I know we're very busy the next couple of weeks with the holidays, and I just encourage everybody to remember the reason of the season. And please, if you can buy it at the Fairview Walmart or Fred's or even some of the small businesses. I know a lot of community members came out and supported on the Buy Local last weekend. I encourage you to do so. We have a lot of great businesses in our community. And it's not, even though I think about the tax dollar a whole lot, and if you've been around me long enough, you'll know, it is a concern, but it's not even all about the tax dollar. It's about supporting local businesses. These people have invested in our community, and they're trying to make a living. And so I encourage you, if you can find something on the Christmas list in our community, I encourage you to do so. A lot of great things going on in Fairview. I'm proud to be a part of this community, and that's it tonight. Thank you.
It was adjourned.
Thanks. Okay, we're adjourned.